The Andy Pollin Show.
We got to go after this with everything we got, figuring they're going to come with everything they got.
I'll start off by saying I'm bored, I'm broke, and I'm back.
The Andy Pollin Show on ESPN 630 starts right now.
So it's February 12th. I'm figuring another 6 weeks before we're out of the woods or so. Maybe that's the last big weather event of the winter. We'll have to see. This one, not too bad. Yeah, not too bad at all. Much less than the other one. The last one, I had to make sure I got here because that was after a playoff game for the Commanders. This one, it's a Wednesday, but it wasn't any problem. Main roads were okay. They were just fine. So keep your fingers crossed. Think about spring. Think about this. Pitchers and catchers. First workout for the Nationals today in West Palm. Can baseball season be far away? No, it is not. March 27th is the opener. Yeah, how about that? March 27th. Used to be that opening day was like mid-April, like it would come around tax day. Now they keep backing it up, and here it is, March 27th. They open at home against the Phillies at 4:20. The first spring training game is a week from Saturday against the Astros, and we're off and rolling into what will hopefully be a nice spring and a not-too-hot summer. Think about that today. We're hoping for temperatures that won't be too hot, but that's the way things roll in the DMV. Although, I'm at an age where I still call it the Washington metropolitan area. I know it's a lot easier to say DMV, but to me, DMV always conjures up images of waiting in line to get your driver's license or, renew something on a title or a tag or something like that. It wants to wait in line. So I always say Washington metropolitan area, but that's just me. There's an interesting story being written in town that probably, people who are just casual hockey fans haven't paid attention to. But what's happening with the Caps is sort of like what happened to the Commanders this season, but it's different in that the centerpiece is a 39-year-old superstar who's chasing the all-time record for goals, whereas with the Commanders, it was a rookie who answered the prayers of many fans for decades and decades. Let's get a quarterback. They got a quarterback. They've had Alex Ovechkin here for 20 years, and he is one of the best players ever to play hockey. And it looks like before the end of the season, he will become the all-time goal scorer. They are projecting sometime in early April 10th to be exact, if he stays on this pace, that he will break Wayne Gretzky's record, 16 goals to go to do it. But more importantly, this is a team that can win the Stanley Cup. And I think a lot of people, not just, casual fans like me and even analysts thought, well, this is a year that it's all about getting the record and, they are rebuilding, but they're rebuilding with an aging star and all that. No. They're really, really good. And just in percentage points, it's close because Winnipeg has 81 points and Washington has 80. But in percentage points, they're a little bit ahead because Winnipeg has 14 losses. And the Caps, they've only lost 11 games all year. Isn't that amazing? 11 games all year. And they are in a position where they could win the Cup. And Barry's Berluga's got a really good column about this. He says it would be unfathomable to think that you would be both having the all-time leading goal scorer set this year and also have the best record in the league at the All-Star break. But Ovechkin is 16 away, and at this rate of 2 goals in every 3 games, he has 26 goals in 39 games. He would break the record around April 10th at home against Carolina. That would be a really big deal. And you wonder about this, too. What happens if he doesn't get it there? They go out on the road. Does he not try to set the record on the road? I don't know. That's going to be one to watch. But he says, put it another way, Ovechkin has 16 goals, the total he needs to pass Gretzky in his last 23 games. Duplicate that production over the next 23, it yields the same prediction, number 895 on April 10th against the Hurricanes. Put it another way, this is getting real and inescapable. And he goes on to say, the reason that Spencer Carberry, the coach, believes that Alex Ovechkin is still working himself back into top form after he missed 16 games because of a broken bone in his leg and that what we're seeing now, even post broken leg, is only a shadow of what he can be down the stretch these last couple of months of the season. Ovechkin isn't being dragged or dragging himself to the record. He's sprinting through the tape with a supporting cast that is helping the cause. In the season Hank Aaron passed Babe Ruth to become baseball's all-time home run king, he hit fewer homers than he had in any campaign since he was a rookie. The season Barry Bonds hit the homer that pushed him past Aaron was Bonds' last. Some of that was steroid stuff, breathing down his neck. But, okay, that's a good point as well. Barry writes, Ovechkin is 39 in his 20th season, and his pace over a full 82-game slate is for 55 goals. A total he has surpassed just twice in his career, and not since he was 23. Think about that. Without the broken leg, we might be talking about him closing in on the record now. He might be even at it at this point. Think about that. And that to have been on a pace for 55 goals, which he hadn't done since his early 20s. Wow. I mean, that's the Ovechkin who lit up the league by scoring a goal on his back. I think it was a game against Arizona, was it? Or maybe Colorado, whatever it was. That was his rookie year. Went, whoa, look at that. And then, the fact that the team is in a position that they are certainly Stanley Cup contenders. Now, the playoffs are a random kind of thing, and, there've been years when they won the President's Cup with the best record and have gone out in the first round. That will happen. But you're also seeing a team that seems to get better through the course of the season. You've got a legendary player who isn't just kind of ceremonially attacking the record. He's attacking it in a big way and helping the team win. This is amazing. And I kind of thought, like, oh, God, he's going to come up short of the record, and they're going to have to drag him through another season. Even last season, when he got off to that terrible start and we started projecting the goal record, thought, 2 years of Ovechkin chasing this is just going to drag the team down. It's just the opposite of that. And as we come up for air after the Super Bowl and go, hey, what's going on around here? Oh, yeah, Wizards still stink. Okay. Nationals really haven't done anything in free agency, so they're probably not going to be a significantly better team this year, especially with the way the Braves are and with the Mets spending, $750 million to bring in Juan Soto. So, there's that. Maryland basketball's pretty good. They should be in the tournament. Georgetown looked good for a while. Not so good now. But whoa, Caps. Best record in the league. Alex Ovechkin closing in on the record. This is something to watch as we head into the spring months, as we get back from the All-Star break for another 10 days. And the All-Star break is different now because they're playing these international competitions. But when they get back at it on the 22nd, 10 days from today, Alex Ovechkin and the chase is one part of the story, but also the chase for the cup is another part. And it's a story that we probably didn't expect at the beginning of the year. Tonight's show stuff, right? This is this time of the year where the Super Bowl champs make their victory lap. And last night, Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley were on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. And it started out with kind of an uncomfortable question here, with Fallon asking about the phone that Jalen Hurts has and the photo that's on it.
I know this because I read this. But can you tell everyone what was on your phone background?
Well, see, I'm not tripping that you brought that up because it's like a little edge,
Motivation.
So I know I guess people anticipate me to change it. Well, it's just a wallpaper, but it's a humble reminder for me.
What is it? It's a picture of it.
It's a picture of the first one, me walking off the field. And the crazy thing is, I told him I might have to start finding these people in there. They get taking pictures of my phone and the team meeting and stuff,
Yeah, because it's become a big story, yeah. So every time you open your phone, you're motivated. You go, I got to beat these dudes.
Well, I tell you, every time I open my phone, I don't just sit there and have this flashback of a moment.
I'm happy I asked you. Yeah, make sure.
So it's not some psychotic thing or anything like that.
No, okay, good. Have you changed your background to wallpaper since?
No. It's going to remain. There's no urgency to change it. I'm just taking it a day at a time.
All right, good. Next time you come back, let me know what the wallpaper is, all right? If there's an update.
Maybe we could take a picture.
We'll take a picture, me and you, yeah. I love it. I'll be motivated for you, yeah. Saquon, not only was Sunday your first Super Bowl win, but it was also your birthday. Congratulations, happy birthday. Here you are with your kids after the win. What are they more excited about? Are they more excited about the Super Bowl win, or are they more excited about Dad's birthday?
I think it was a combination of both. Just, being there, celebrating with my family. Before the game, that day we had a daddy-daughter dance, me and my daughter. So it was able to get canceled and moved to March 14th. So I'm able to have that moment with her. And, before the game, she told me now that the game's canceled, she wants to win the Super Bowl a little bit more. So probably the Super Bowl win.
Oh, my gosh. Well, you brought a voicemail that your daughter left you before the Super Bowl. Let's take a listen to this.
Hi, Daddy. It's Jada. Just want to text you for your big game. I'm really hope you win. And, Daddy, I'm really thankful that you've been caring for your whole family, and I know you're going to win. But if you don't, that is okay. I'll always love you.
Are you kidding me? That's the cutest message in the world. What a good kid. Jalen, you scored 3 touchdowns on Sunday. You did. The first one was doing what people are calling the tush push. Yeah. Is that what you call it?
It's not what I call it.
It's not what you call it. No.
Not what I call it.
What do you call it?
I'm not gonna say what I call it, but it's
okay. But it's not.
Everybody is came up with their own name for it. The brotherly shove, the tush push, all these different things. It's not that.
It's not that.
No.
Okay.
I was shocked too, because when I got there, I known it as the tush push, but I didn't know if that's what it would be called. But I thought it was called that, and it's not called a tush push actually.
No. What is your role in the quote unquote tush push?
I think I have the easiest job, to be honest. I think I'm the one who pushes the tush.
Saquon, before you and Jalen became teammates, you'd play against each other when you were on the New York Giants. There's a clip from this past season of Hard Knocks that's been going viral all season. You were a free agent at the time. You know the clip I'm talking about? And this is the Giants owner say that maybe there's a possibility of losing you to the Eagles. But let's take a look at this video.
What's the latest? Just on the Saquon thing.
I just got a text that Chicago's driving the price up and Philly's out. I don't know if that's true or not.
I'm going to have a tough time sleeping if Saquon goes to Philadelphia, I'll tell you that. As I've told you, just being out. He's the most popular player we have by far.
Yeah. Have you heard from the organization since you won?
Yeah, I mean, that clip doesn't really display my relationship I have with that organization from top to bottom. They're the people that brought me in. But after the game, so many guys and people from the organization reached out to me and was super happy to one for my birthday and see me hold that Lombardi trophy up because they know the hard work that I put in. That clip is in the past, and I'm happy to be an Eagle. And I look at it as like Marshall Faulk, one of my favorite running backs. He played for the Colts, but he's remembered as a Ram. So now I'm just trying to be remembered as an Eagle.
Yeah, and Jalen, this is you post-game, by the way. You just got a cigar, and you're just, like, exhausted. What are you dealing with there? You're just like, I just gave it all.
Yeah, we went into it, and we were talking about making it worth it and leaving it all on the table, no stone unturned. And I think for me, just being able to have that moment, I call that the moment of having happy feelings. Just listening to one of my favorite songs and smoking a good one.
Yeah. So you deserve it. Saquon, there's a clip of you shotgunning a beer.
A little different.
Maybe faster than I've ever seen in my life. Let's take a look at this video. This is very short. Wow, that was fast. That was fast. Come on.
I think I actually. I was going against my teammate there, Nick, and I think I lost that one. But
he beat you?
He beat me there.
Oh my God!
I came in, seeing everybody celebrating, partying. Back in my day, I did go to Penn State, so No, I had my party days.
You know how to do it, yeah.
And with that, they brought out the entire Eagles offensive line, and they shotgun beers. I was just thinking about the cost for 40 seconds of TV that they traveled in. These big offensive linemen, I'm sure, had to pay for their meals in New York, which were not cheap, and then and then to have just them shotgun beers and be gone. I mean, it's really, well, I guess it just shows you what kind of budgets these night shows have. But that was fun. And what a great line by Saquon. I'm the one that pushes the tush. And, yeah, he seemed to be more humorous about it than we got from Jalen. But Jalen Hurts seems to be a very serious guy, and it seems to work out for him. Obviously, he's the Super Bowl MVP. All right, coming up, Dak Prescott. And try not to laugh on this. Dak Prescott says the Dallas Cowboys are close to the Philadelphia Eagles. It's the Andy Pollin Show, ESPN 630.
The Andy Pollin Show on ESPN 630, the sports capital.
Shades of one of the strangest NBA stories we've ever seen that spawned the headline, Tree Bites Man. Get to that in about 20, 25 minutes. Meantime, Dak Prescott, the Cowboys quarterback who missed a significant portion of the season because of injury. His team won only 7 games. Appearing at a charity event. I'll give him credit for that, for showing up at a charity event yesterday. Had the chutzpah to say this about his 7-win football team.
I feel like we compete with the Eagles and beat them for the most part when we played them. I don't want to say check the record when they're the guys holding the trophy right now. So credit to them. They've earned it and they deserved it by all means. But, yeah, very close, especially when you even watch the NFC game, the NFC Championship. And those two teams that we battle against each and every year a couple of times. And as I said, feel confident about we've gotten the better part each and every time. To see it in such a dominating fashion, credit to them. It's our turn and it's on us.
All right. Okay. How's your health?
Good. Yeah, my health is for sure. My health is good. Doing a lot more. Getting there. I think I'm 12 weeks or so out of surgery now. So I'm really looking to amp it up here recently. Got all my confidence, and we'll be fine.
He's also 31 years old and chewing up a very significant portion of the salary cap for a team that's capped out under GM Jerry Jones. You know, he calls himself GM first and owner second. Cowboys, as you know, haven't played in the Super Bowl or been to a conference title game in 29 years, coming off that 7-10 finish. He played only 7 games last year, and we'll see if there was very, very serious hamstring injury. He needed surgery. Is that going to be altering for him because he does rely on his legs to a degree? And, yeah, I mean, it's a team that does not look close. They look to be, at best, the third best team in the division, right? I mean, you have to figure that. Eagles, overwhelmingly the best. Commanders, maybe getting there. They're certainly ahead of the Cowboys, even though I guess that was their one real blemish of the season when they played that game here and lost to Dallas. And for him to say, yeah, we're right there with him. No, you're not. You're not. And he's about to play for his third different coach, Brian Schottenheimer, who I guess was held over at his request. Mike McCarthy sitting out a year. He's not going to coach this year. He's gone. Jason Garrett was his coach from 2016 to 2019. And I don't think in any of the projections that we're seeing the Cowboys being right there with the Philadelphia Eagles. In fact, I would think that they'd be bottom of the pack, lower third of the league. And yeah, we're right there. We're just right there. It's like when Joe Gibbs, God bless him, a second go-round, said, yeah, we do things just like the Patriots. No, you didn't, Coach. You loaded up on free agents because Danny and his boy Vinny, you allowed them to do it. And although he had the best record under Dan Snyder in the years that Snyder owned the team, he took the team to the playoffs twice. No, they didn't do things like the Patriots. And for Dak Prescott to say, yeah, we're right there with the Eagles. No, you're not right there with the Eagles. As for other quarterbacking situations around the league, 2 very interesting veterans, each with a Super Bowl ring, Aaron Rodgers and Matt Stafford. Rodgers, we know, not going to be back with the Jets. They made that clear to him. And Matt Stafford is a very sticky situation. He's due for a contract upgrade. He's underpaid. He's making like $23, $24 million a year. he's decided he's going to come back. But they have also said that Cooper Kupp won't be back. And one of the oddest things I've ever seen, I mean, sometimes a team will say, yeah, we're not going to bring a guy back, but you don't usually have a player say, oh, they've told me I'm not coming back and I want to come back. That's what Cooper Kupp said. And then you got the wife influence in this, where Kelly Stafford, Matt Stafford's wife, does her own podcast, and she kind of ripped the team for not bringing Cooper Kupp back. And she said at the end of it, you know, I love L.A., I love living here, but I'm always up for an adventure. Like, if you don't meet my husband's demands, both for players and for money, we would be interested in leaving. So what are the chances that the Rams don't have Matt Stafford next year? And we already know that Aaron Rodgers is on the move, and what does that mean for him and the Jets? Albert Breer of SI.com on the Rich Eisen show yesterday with the skinny on both.
The new guys there, Aaron Glenn, Darren Mucci, wanted to handle this the right way. And so, they didn't have an answer yet on whether or not Aaron wants to play next year, which is, still something to consider. But, they felt like the right way to do it would be to fly him out and have a discussion with him. And the end of that discussion is that, that they're moving on. And so I think what's fascinating to me about the point the spot the Jets are in is, like, a lot of times I feel like these teams go all in and, it's win now and then it has to be a tear down after, right? Like, so you go and leverage contracts and you go and get guys the quarterback is comfortable with, and Devontae Adams and Alan Lazard, and last year was Randall Cobb. And, you want to, you look at it at the end of that, and oftentimes it's like, we have to tear it down. The Jets aren't in that spot. I mean, the Jets have something to sell another quarterback. If you look at their roster, right, like, this is what Joe Douglas actually did a decent job of stocking the roster with guys who are still, I think in a lot of cases ascending. Garrett Wilson, Olu Fashanu, Breece Hall, Quinnen Williams, Jermaine Johnson,
Sauce Gardner. I mean, you can keep going on and on.
Quincy Williams.
There's no doubt. There
are players there.
Right, and that's why the Rodgers move made sense. It's just like, add Aaron, if he's the guy from Green Bay that everybody came to know and love, and then just add him and see how it goes. We know how that all worked out. So what would be the Jet plan? Sitting there at 7 drafting, going into the free agent market? And I mean, what would the plan be here? What is plan?
I think it's a bridge quarterback for now. Like, I just think where you are at 7, there are going to be teams that are going to, I mean, you'll see in the combine in 2 weeks, Rich, when you do your homework, as you always do. I just don't think anybody's I think there are a lot of teams that are unconvinced that there's anybody in this year's draft who can be a long-term answer at quarterback. And I think if you're in the AFC, part of the equation, I think this is the case for the Titans at 1, for the Browns at 2, certainly the Jets at 7. You have to look at the class, and part of the equation has to be, okay, we're going to draft this guy. We can get him up and running, right? Like in year 2, year 3, we can get him to a competitive level. Is he ever going to be good enough to compete with the group of Burrow, Allen, Mahomes, Jackson, Stroud, Herbert, Nix? He could ascend potentially into that group. Maybe he could eventually ascend into that group. Herbert, I missed him. I think that's got to be part of the equation for you. And I just don't know if at the end of this we're going to be looking at me. And I haven't done all my homework either yet, but I don't know, like, that the league is going to look at Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders and say yes. So, I think, for teams like the Jets and the Giants, like, they have to look at the idea of a bridge. So who is that bridge? Does Matthew Stafford become available?
Why would he, Albert? Why would he become available? Why? I mean, because everything that you just mentioned about the draft not being all that, and then the free agency market might not be all that either. Why would the Rams want to put themselves in that position when they've got the guy in position with the coach who is as spectacular as they come, right? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, so I don't know why that would happen, why the Rams would willingly let that happen,
I think it would be contractual.
Okay.
I think what it would be is the negotiation last year did get contentious at times, and it took 6 months to get that deal done. And they moved $5 million forward. So he got a $5 million raise. He was looking for a raise. They guaranteed his money for 2024. They then removed all the guaranteed money for 25 and basically agreed at that time, we will revisit this in 2025. So now they're at that point. So now he's making $4 million less than he had initially been scheduled to make this year, with the other million again coming from 2026. And how do you revisit this? And if you're Matthew Stafford, do you look at it and say there are 9 quarterbacks scheduled to make over $50 million next year? And I'm making less than half of that in 2025. And then how much are you asking for? And how much are you asking for in guarantees? And are you going to tell the Rams, yes, I'm in this for this year and next year and the year after, or is it still just a year-to-year proposition? And if you're the Rams, you look at this and you say, we're one of the youngest teams in football now. So we're looking to build around guys like Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams and Jared Verse and Braden Fisk and Kobe Turner, and Byron Young. And do we want to get younger at quarterback? Do we want to start the process of really leaning into this young core? So much of it's about timelines to me. You know what I mean? Like, so say, yes, we'll go forward for another year with you, Matthew. Are you now in a tough spot in 2026 as this young core is coming of age? It's just, I think a lot of it has to do with those questions. And when Matthew makes what makes clear to them, A, I want this much money, and B, here's my plan for the next year and going forward, then they get to the nitty gritty of it. Like, where does that come out? And then if another team comes along, say a Pittsburgh or the Giants, and offers a first-round pick, I just look at these sorts of things. You know what I mean? And it's like, is all this going to match up? I don't know. I don't know. Could Sam Darnold be an answer for them for the time being, who's from Los Angeles? There's just a lot that they have to sort through. And I don't think it's necessarily the easiest thing in the world. If it was as easy as Sean McVay loves Matthew Stafford and wants him to be the quarterback in 2025, then yeah, let's go. But, I don't think it's that simple.
That's Albert Breer, SI.com, with Rich Eisen yesterday. And when you're talking about these two quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers and Matt Stafford, Rodgers already apparently gone from the Jets, not official, but he's out. And then Stafford, maybe not, comes back to the Rams. In another place and time, the Commanders are thinking about both those guys, right? I mean, think about what Jaden Daniels means, not just for now, but for hopefully the next 10 to 15 years where you don't have to play this silly game. And if you're not thinking about either one of those veterans, then you're looking at the draft. And if it's this year instead of last year, Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward, do you think either one of those guys will be as good as Jaden Daniels? Maybe. But I don't think they're as good as any of the 5 quarterbacks that went last year, including J.J. McCarthy, who didn't take a regular season snap for the Vikings. And just to be in this spot and having experienced what we did as fans for 25 years of, oh, my God, they got to find a quarterback. How are they going to do it? I mean, they had to overpay in a big way for Carson Wentz to come here because this place was such a cesspool. Carson Wentz was going to be released by the Colts, and the Commanders knew that if he was a free agent, he wasn't coming here. They weren't even the Commanders yet. They were Washington football team, and they knew he wasn't coming here, so they had to trade for him. And they had to give up, I think they gave up a third-rounder in there. And now you're not even thinking about either the draft at quarterback. Sure, you want to bulk up in the draft, and you want to do what you can. They're picking low. They're picking 29, which, again, is hard to get your head around when they've generally been in the top 5 over the years. And on top of that, they got cap space, and so there are some free agents to pursue and some trades to pursue, like Myles Garrett. Will they actually get into that? But just to listen to these analysts now talk about these veteran quarterbacks and not have to be interested at all. We're good here. Everything's fine. Do they bring back Marcus Mariota? That would be great. If not, they'll bring in somebody like that. They'll have a veteran guy that'll come here. Kirk Cousins not out of the question. Really, it's not inconceivable, and wouldn't that be a great way for him to round out his career? I think he may have a chance to start someplace else, but that's a guy that you would want here as a good guy and a mentor, and a guy who can come in and win games if something happens to Jaden Daniels. So, I just look at the quarterback situation and the situation as a whole with Washington, and I go, phew, man. I mean, for the 30-plus years I've been on the air doing sports radio, that's all we've been talking about is what do they do? How do they fix the quarterback situation? They don't have cap room. They stink and they don't have cap room. This team went to the NFC Championship game, and they've got $78 million in cap room. So they're not going to obviously go after either one of these quarterbacks, but if they want Cooper Kupp, he's due $30 million. They can take that on. Garrett is due 20. I guess you'd have to give him a contract extension, but you could take that on. Debo Samuel's out there. I don't know if they want him, but they do need another receiver. $16 million. They can take him on. And signing the veterans is going to cost you a little more for Bobby Wagner and Zach Ertz, but I think you bring both of them back. And, the reality is, too, that both of them in their mid-30s, we don't know. They could fall off a cliff pretty quickly, but they were huge contributors last season, and I think you got to bring them back for sure on that, both for their play on the field and what they do in the locker room. So there's money to spend. There's assurance at quarterback, which is twofold. Don't forget about that, too, in that, A, you don't have to worry about the quarterback here, and B, because of the quarterback, free agents are going to want to come here and play with him. You're already hearing things like that. And like Malik Neighbors, it won't happen. Malik Neighbors was a first-round pick by the Giants, one of the few bright spots of that team this past season, but they asked him if he could play with any quarterback in the league. He said he would want to play with Jaden Daniels. And it's not going to happen, but that is another part of all this. So, I like to listen to this and go, yeah, that's somebody else's problem. That's not a problem here anymore. Don't have to worry about a quarterback. Aaron Rodgers, no, thanks, we'll take a pass. Yep. Matt Stafford, remember when Matt Stafford was their number one focus in the offseason? I think that's when they got Wentz. I think they tried to get him and couldn't get it done. Or maybe that was, I keep forgetting. Maybe that's when they got Fitzgerald. I forget. I mean, but there were years like, got to go all out and get him. Russell Wilson, can you get him? Nope. Nobody wants to come here. Now, different story. And it changed like that. Boom. Couple of things for offseason to think about. Jeff Miller is an NFL executive, I guess, charged with safety. They are claiming, and I guess it's accurate, but they say that there was a 17% decline in concussions this past season. Both in practices and in regular season games. So it was down 17% over the course of a year, which is, you have to recognize this, with the way they had the kickoffs this year, they had 332 more returns. So that's a collision play. They've cut it down the way it's set up now with the two teams lining up, 5 yards apart and the way they do it. But the goal was to get more kickoff returns because you had, a Super Bowl where there were 13 kickoffs, and none of them were returned last year, so they wanted to do something about that. And they say that the injury rate was lower. They according to this guy Miller, he says we hit the mark on that. We got as many touchdowns as we did in 2020, some long kickoffs past the 40, and the injury rate was down. The big hubbub is about the replay, and the way the Super Bowl worked out, there's no more kvetching about the Chiefs getting all the calls, right? I mean, there's nothing you can say from that Super Bowl that a call cost them the game at all. In fact, it may have even gone the other way a little bit. I don't know. But the idea of the eye in the sky is still there. Troy Vincent, who's an NFL executive, a longtime player with the Eagles, finished up his career here. He said in December that expanding replay assists to include face mask penalties and other plays is going to be considered. Current rules only allowed replay assists to help officials pick up a flag incorrectly thrown on the field or in assisting a proper enforcement of a foul called on the field. I think you have to have it. I mean, what we see at home on TV is a better view than what the officials have. So I'm thinking that they've got to go in that direction. And it seems to be simple enough. There's enough cameras now and enough angles, and they can do it quickly. That's going to be another thing. You don't want to, sit around and potski around for 2 minutes trying to figure this out. But I think that's something whose time has come, and there has to be some kind of an eye in the sky. All right, I got a great story of a small-town kid, a really small-town kid, who becomes a Super Bowl hero. It actually happened. We'll get to that and more as we continue. It's the Andy Pollin Show, ESPN 630. 6 degrees of bacon, Kevin Bacon. He's a big Philadelphia Eagles fan from Philly and really is into it. And he talked to Dan Patrick yesterday about watching the game and what it was like to do that in his apartment, disturbing the neighbors in the early part of the game and then settling down for an Eagles blowout. We'll get to that. Aaron Boone. His feelings were hurt by the way the Dodgers celebrated the World Series last year, and he let those feelings be known. And I got a story about a small-town boy who becomes a Super Bowl hero. Comes from a town of less than 1,000, and now is the toast of Philadelphia for the play that I believe cemented the Super Bowl. And you remember that, the Eagles had gone up 10-0 in this game, but it's still, midway through the second quarter. We have seen comebacks by the Chiefs all the time. Come on, it's Patrick Mahomes. This is where he shines, bringing his team back from a couple of early stumbles. And then this happens.
Mahomes rolling out, looking, firing, intercepted, picked up by Cooper Dejean, gets a block. Dejean is
Yeah, he's in, and now it's 17-0. It becomes 24-0 with another turnover before the half. And what that instantly reminded me of was watching the Redskins play the Raiders 41 years ago. And while they had a mountain to climb to get back in the second half, they were still in the game at the end of the first half against the Raiders when they got cute. And maybe Joe Gibbs learned a lifetime lesson from this. They had played the Raiders earlier in the year. There was 12 seconds left in the half. There was really no reason to do this other than you thought maybe you could bust it for a touchdown, but it was kind of desperation. And, well, if you're old enough to remember, you know what the words rocket screen mean.
Theismann back, looks off to the left, and he fires it out there. Intercepted! Dak Prescott! Touchdown Raiders! I don't believe it! Holy Toledo! The Washington Redskins went to the think tank once too often with that one. Theismann, a look off to the right, a swing back out to the left, and Squirek, the second-year linebacker, saw it all the way, and grudgingly, he doesn't want to do it yet. Tom Flores just smiles.
Bill, I'm flabbergasted. I cannot believe that the Redskins, back on their own 12-yard line, with 12 seconds to go in the half, would do that.
And that essentially ended the game, and the Raiders went on to win 38-9, a blowout similar to what we saw on Sunday. Don't forget, it was 40-6. 40-22 is the final score, but in the fourth quarter, it was 40-6. So this was one of the more lopsided Super Bowls ever played. As for Cooper Dejean, what an incredible story. He was a second-round pick rookie out of Iowa, so, it's not like he was an undrafted free agent and nobody'd heard of him. He had a really great career at Iowa and was worthy of being taken in the second round by the Philadelphia Eagles. But how he got to Iowa is amazing. He's from a town called Odebolt, Iowa, Odebolt, Iowa. Population, it's a farm town, population 910. Not 910,000, 910 people. They grow a type of corn that I guess is turned into popcorn because Odebolt, Iowa is known as the popcorn capital of the world, for whatever that's worth. And the football fields are carved out of the cornfields. There are no stadiums there. You got a town of 910 people. I mean, in order to have a decent crowd there, everybody would have to show up. And that's the football that he was weaned on, showed enough that he got a scholarship to the University of Iowa, and the rest is history. And now he's one of the stars of a Super Bowl championship for the Philadelphia Eagles, only the second one in team history. And Cooper Dejean was on the Rich Eisen show yesterday talking about his new home and his new coach and Nick Sirianni and how he's managed to fit in on a team that is in one of the biggest cities in the country and shined on the biggest stage in sports with a miraculous play in the Super Bowl. Here's Cooper Dejean on his coach.
Since day one, he's been the same guy every single day. He comes in, coaches with passion. Some people like him, some people don't like him. That's okay. He doesn't care. He's going to be the same guy he's always been. Preaches the details of the game of football, from tackling to taking care of the ball. Everything within the game. He preaches it. And I think that's helped our team, play so well down the stretch. Obviously we got off to a little rocky start, but I don't think his confidence in us ever wavered, and our confidence in ourselves ever wavered. Because of our head coach and what he brings to the facility every single day, and his passion and just his drive for the love of the game, and it helps us a ton.
And who, before I let you go, who spoke to the team before you went out on the field in New Orleans on Sunday night?
It's usually BG. BG said a couple words, but Jalen Carter actually stepped up and he said a few words prior to going out on the field, just talking about how this is our last opportunity. Why not leave it all on the field, and telling us that he's given us everything he's got, and he expects us to do the same. And I think we went out and did that on Sunday night.
So the Jalen who spoke to the team before the game was Carter, not Hurts, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Huh.
Yes.
And what did that mean for you, being a rookie, seeing a second-year guy out there, follow up BG, the OG, and go out there?
It was really cool. He did it last week in the NFC Championship game as well. Just seeing a guy like him who's growing as a leader in his second year, and who plays with a ton of passion and is just such a great football player. Just seeing him step up and hearing what he has to say, it gets you ready to go. Gets you, wants you, makes you want to give everybody all you got.
All right. Well, you ready for a parade, Cooper? You ready for?
Can't wait.
Can't wait. Have you gotten? Crazy. I was about to say, have you gotten any sort of heads up about what's to come? Has anybody kind of prepped you about what this?
No
is
heads up.
Okay.
No heads up, really. But I've seen the videos of Broad Street after the NFC Championship game and after we won the Super Bowl. So I imagine it's gonna be quite the scene.
Lit.
In Philadelphia on Friday.
It shall be lit. No question about that. And what an incredible way for you to celebrate your birthday. I think we got a shot of you with a cake right there. What cake was that? Was that like a celebration cake? Do I see like confetti in there or something like that?
It was, I believe it was the guys on ESPN.
That's right. Yep.
On the set there, they brought me and Saquon a cake, and I was just eating it, walking around the stadium after the game. It was pretty good cake.
That's awesome.
Man, what a life. What a life. What if we had told that kid maybe playing football in his backyard, back there in Iowa, that this is what's happening. This is what would happen as a rookie in the NFL. What would that kid have said, Cooper?
He'd be ecstatic. He'd be really happy, really excited if he knew that, one day he'd grow up to play in the NFL and play for this organization and play in the Super Bowl on your birthday, let alone score a touchdown.
Pick six
in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And then, then parade it up and then go about your business again. Are you going to bring the Lombardi to Odebolt? You're going to bring the trophy back home? I
don't know. Is that allowed? I don't know.
Well, I mean, Cooper, it might not be allowed, but it may be part and parcel of your new standing within, pick sixing in the Super Bowl. You might be able to ask, hey, what do you say? Can I get it for a day?
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think And that's, by the way, Cooper Dejean, who had the pick six in the Super Bowl, the rookie from Iowa. I think that each player gets a replica trophy. I'm not sure about that. But I don't think they want to do with the Lombardi Trophy what they do with the Stanley Cup. It's a different thing. And, each player gets his name engraved on the cup. That's the greatest trophy in sports. And as the tradition is, every player on the Stanley Cup champion team gets a day with the cup. And what happened with the cup when they brought it back here when the Caps won in 2018? Oh, God, that was great. They just took it all over town and did keg stands, and it was just so much fun. So I don't think that the true Lombardi Trophy, the one that will go in whatever kind of trophy case they have at the Eagles facility or however they choose to display it. One time the Redskins' 3 Super Bowl trophies were displayed in the window at Duke Ziebert's. Not the old Duke Ziebert's, but the one that was at 19th and L. Yeah, they used to display the trophies there. I guess they're now at the park in Ashburn. But that's a good idea. If he does get to take, I guess you take the replica trophy back to the small town and go, yeah, can you believe this? Kid who grew up in a town of 910 people and gets to play in the Super Bowl as a rookie, has a pick six, and it's his birthday. And if the late, great Frank DeFord was still writing for Sports Illustrated, this would be an absolute perfect story for him. They call these takeout pieces. Gary Smith used to write them. They had several guys who were S.L. Price, very good. I mean, they had a number of really great writers who would do this. And now the business has changed, and they don't have the time or the resources or the space to do that kind of thing. But, yeah, back in the day, that's the kind of story, the takeout story that we have. Meantime, got the Dallas Mavericks mess. And, excuse me, this is a tweet from Tim Kalishaw, Dallas Morning News. He's on Around the Horn. This is the state of the Dallas Mavericks after the Luka Doncic trade. Kalishaw writes, so the coach didn't talk. That is the coach of the Mavericks, Jason Kidd, did not talk. The fans booed the new team governor. The former owner told fans to shut the F up. That would be Mark Cuban. Fans got tossed for signs saying fire Nico. That's the general manager, Nico Harrison. And the team lost to Sacramento. This trade is going really well. So Dave McMenamin covers the NBA for ESPN. He was on with Rich Eisen yesterday and explained just what a mess Dallas has devolved into after this trade.
So there's no end to that story in sight for Dallas. I mean, there's going to be game after game after game, and if they don't have Anthony Davis on the court, and obviously Daniel Gafford went out with a knee tweak the other night. They've been missing Derek Lively. It's going to be tough for them to compete in the Western Conference. So as the losses pile up, it could get even uglier. And then you throw in the fact that they have a game on February 25th against the Lakers in LA, and then a game April 9th in Dallas will be Luka's return game. I mean, those are be the type of events hearkening back to 2010 when LeBron returned to Cleveland with the Miami Heat, and there were things being hurled at the court when he was going through warmups. It's a rough situation. The only way I see the Mavericks being able to get out of it is to win and to win big. But in the moment, that's obviously going to be difficult with Anthony Davis estimated to miss at least a couple weeks with the abdominal strain that he's dealing with.
And the fire Nico signs that got people kicked out, that is the Mavericks' prerogative. They can do that sort of thing. The league is going to be copacetic with what's going down in the Metroplex, Dave?
It's a great point. I mean, there was a video that I watched this morning of a fan who was recording with his phone as security approached him, and he repeatedly said that, hey, I haven't violated any of the stipulations or the codes of the arena. What am I being kicked out for? And I watched maybe 2.5 minutes of the 4-minute video. He wasn't provided an explanation. It was, you got to go, sir. Come with us, sir. That can't sustain. That should not be the way things work in pro sports. Paying a ticket should give you the right to voice your displeasure. If that is the case, we saw for years Saints fans wearing brown paper bags over their heads because they were so displeased with the product on the field. Should that have been grounds for dismissal? Of course not. So I do think there has to be some latitude for the Mavs fans who are going through it right now and want to express their frustration in a manner that doesn't involve curse words and doesn't involve threats. Booing should be allowed in sports.
Yeah, and signs should be allowed in sports. That Dave McMenamin of ESPN, and it reminded me of when Washington had a season that was even a bigger circus than usual. This was the 2009 season, second year of Jim Zorn. It's the year that he got his play calling duties pulled away from him by ownership. And he famously complied with that. And remember Sherm Lewis, they brought in from the senior center where he was calling bingo games. He came in and started calling the plays. And that's the year that Zorn called the swinging gate play a couple of times. It was just a complete mess and disaster. And the fans that were still showing up at then FedEx Field wanted to bring some signs into the game that ripped Dan Snyder and ripped Vinny Serrato. And they were banned from taking those signs in. They cited, the team did, fan security and comfort. That's what they said. So this got out. The league obviously made a phone call. And what do you know, 2.5 hours before they played a game against the Denver Broncos, I actually went to that game, and somehow the Redskins won the game. That was actually the game where Zorn called the swinging gate, and it worked. And that's why he called it, multiple times against the Giants later in the season, made a fool of himself. But 2.5 hours before their game against the Broncos, they say they had revised their stadium sign policy and even had put out a statement from owner Dan Snyder who said, "We've disappointed our fans so far this season, and I'm as disappointed as they are." This season? Well, yeah, they had done it again in 2009. He said, "I understand that some fans want to express their feelings with signs, and they should do so as long as they stay within the boundaries of good taste and don't block the view of our fellow fans." Redskins Chief Operating Officer David Donovan said, "We have no intention of trying to control our fans' varied ways of expressing their views on the Redskins organizations and the team's performance." Yeah, which stunk. They won 4 games that year. And Zorn was fired right after he got off the plane after their final game of the season in San Diego, and that begot the Shanahan era, which lasted 4 years. So Dallas, the Mavericks, look to be in the same kind of mess that the Redskins were back in 2009, 15 years. God, it's good to view this from a distance and not view it from just a few miles away. It's a whole new world around here. Coming up, the most warming words you can hear on a day like this, pitchers and catchers report. And we're off and running with another baseball season as of today. Aaron Boone, the manager of the World Series losing Yankees, still a little bit sore at how the Dodgers handled things. We'll get to that and more as we continue. It's the Andy Pollin Show, ESPN 630.
The Andy Pollin Show on ESPN 630, the sports capital.
Rams coming up at 11 o'clock. World Series didn't wrap up that long ago. It used to be that it was the first week in October and you were done. Well, this year was the first week in November that we finally finished up with it, and only went 5 games this year. And in Game 5, it looked like the Yankees were going to make a series of it. They were down 3-1. Not often do teams come back from that, but they went up 5-0 in Game 5, at Yankee Stadium, and, looked like, okay, this thing may go a while. This could go 7. But then they just fell apart in the 5th inning. They made 2 errors, a mental mistake and a defensive meltdown, and that meant 5 runs for the Dodgers to tie the game, all with 2 outs, and they went on to win the World Series at Yankee Stadium. Shortly after that, 2 of their players, relief pitcher Joe Kelly and outfielder Chris Taylor, in an episode of Baseball Isn't Boring, the podcast, they said that the Yankees started kicking the ball around and playing Yankee defense in that inning. Kelly later doubled down, saying the World Series against the Yankees was a, quote, mismatch from the get-go. Taylor, on an episode of Mookie Betts' podcast, added that the Yankees were essing down their leg. So yesterday, Aaron Boone, the manager, as he's either they're there or he's getting ready to depart for spring training, he was on WFAN, their midday show. And he was asked about these comments and being, chafed about them as he goes into the season without Juan Soto, by the way. Soto now across town with the Mets. This was Boone yesterday on WFAN about the way the Dodgers celebrated their championship.
They won, so, that they had that right. So, a couple of people like saying some things. It's like, did you see what you did this year? Like, it wasn't the Freddie Freemans and Shohei's and Mookie's popping off. It was some others. So, look, they won the World Series. We didn't play our best, and, they're flying high right now. So we'll try and get back to that stage and hopefully punch through.
But they were disrespectful, and you're a competitive guy. Like, that bothered me. I'm not even a Yankee fan. I know it had to really
I'll just say, yeah, it did.
I know there's more in there, Booney. Come on!
I don't know how you didn't fire back. And I know it's a waste of time. It only presents more problems for you and things you've got to deal with and that are really unimportant to the bottom line here, that don't impact your bottom line. But yeah, it's one thing to talk smack. Like, it was deeply personal in the baseball sense, because I don't even have the quotes in front of me, but we all know what they were.
Multiple guys.
Like, basically saying you guys a little sloppy.
Sorry,
Joe Kelly, some of these guys who haven't done a damn thing in years. Like, a little sloppy, whether it's on the base. Like, to me.
Something down your leg.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's, to me, if I'm the manager, that's an indictment, even if it's unfair. I'm taking that so personally, and I know it would be counterproductive to fire back, but you had to want to. Did you almost fire back?
I'm almost firing back right now.
Well, don't stop, man. Let's go.
But no, I'm not. They won, and, hopefully we win and handle ourselves in a better.
That's Aaron Boone, and we'll see. I mean, it's a long season, and more so than ever now, what you do in the regular season isn't really indicative of what's going to happen in the postseason. Now, we had two big money teams making it to the World Series, and I think it's a matchup that most people wanted to see. The ratings were up, significantly, but, I mean, just look at the numbers. I think the average viewership was like 12 million a game. And we just had a Super Bowl where the number was 10 times that. I know it's one game. I know it's football. But, baseball, I'm sure, likes to have the Yankees and the Dodgers in the World Series. And if it's a rematch, that would be cool. But, the Mets are spending money. The Braves are a well-run organization. I don't know, who might be competition for the Dodgers this year other than those two teams. And maybe, the way they're spending money, they don't care. They're paying the luxury tax. It doesn't bother them. The Mets jumping in like this, I mean, it's great to spend money, and they have the money to spend with an owner who's got, hedge fund money. Steve Cohen's got probably more money than any other owner in sports. But I think the Yankee-Dodger matchup is classic. If we see it again, that would be cool. The World Series didn't play out exactly like we hoped it would, but Aaron Boone looking for revenge this year. And the Nationals, they haven't done really anything in the offseason. There's still a few. Bregman sitting out there. There's a few other named free agents. We'll see if they do anything. But, with the division that they're in with the Mets and the Braves, I don't see them spending money this year, and I think we're looking at another season, unless these prospects develop a lot faster than anybody expects. I think we're looking at a season where they're chasing 500. I think that's probably likely, but I feel like, and maybe I shouldn't, but I feel like because this team delivered a World Series championship was 6 years ago, only 6 years ago. I feel a little bit like we're still playing with house money with a baseball team now in its 20th year. I'm older, so 20 years is a relative blip versus the 33. We went without baseball here after the Senators left, but as sooner or later, you're going to get itchy for them to win. But I give them a 10-year grace period. So if at the end of the 2026 season, 2029 season, that long. If they haven't won, okay, get a little bit antsy. And then this. I don't know if you remember Paul Zimmerman. He was a football writer. He wrote for Sports Illustrated for a bunch of years, and he was the football guy in print for a long time. And he did some stuff on ESPN, and he was very well known in the football community and very accomplished in his career. He was a miserable guy. I had encounters with him when I was covering the Giants. Not a guy you wanted to be around. And I remember being at a Super Bowl where this was a buffet line at a party, or I guess it was a breakfast, and he had 2 plates in his hand, a big heavy guy, and he had 2 plates in his hand, and he simply elbowed his way in front of me to get to the front of the line to get what he wanted from the buffet. Didn't even say, excuse me. Didn't even ask. And I'm not going to get into it with Dr. Z. Well, now we had a story coming out of Miami. Big, hefty guy. Looks like he was about Dr. Z's size. His name is Mark Rohr, Roher, a lawyer who specializes in bankruptcy and commercial litigation in the Miami area. And he was at a country club in Miami. I don't know if it was a wedding or whatever it was, but 2 young girls cut in front of him in the prime rib carving station, according to witnesses. Rohr tried to confront the father of one of the girls. His name is Syed Raza, but was ignored. Okay, I mean, big deal. You have to wait another couple minutes for your prime rib. Well, that wasn't good enough for Mark Rohr. He got mad and allegedly smashed a plate on the dad's head, Raza's head, and grabbed him by the collar. Then a melee broke out with a large, was it a wedding? Large number of wedding guests got involved in this. And then the cops came, and this big guy, Rohr, insisted that he was the victim of the food fiasco. He said, I want to press charges against him, meaning the father, because out of the numerous people that beat me up, he's the only one I could identify as kicking me. Rohr said in a police body camera footage obtained by Law and Crime, he kicked me. I saw him. He was the only one I saw kicking me, so I don't know why he's not getting charged. The big guy, Mark, he also admitted that he made the first contact, but denied hitting the father with the plate. The father had a big bruise on his head. Rohr, the lawyer here, the fat lawyer, was charged with aggravated battery with a deadly weapon. The buffet plate was named as a fatal weapon in the case. We'll see where that stands up in court. But Rohr is facing up to 5 years in prison, might be disbarred. The father of the girl not seriously hurt, but Rohr and his wife have been banned from the country club for a year, according to the Miami New Times. So Dr. Z is dead and gone, and his career speaks for itself. But I just think of obnoxious people in buffet lines, and although it wasn't right for the girls to cut in front of him, he probably shouldn't have hit the dad in the head with a plate. And we'll see how this is all adjudicated in court. Anyway, that's a wrap for me. Bram is coming up next, and I will see you back here tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.